Subtle skills, big results.
Welcome to the Ninja Selling Podcast.
Welcome back to the Ninja Selling Podcast. Matt and Garrett are back with you again. Got a great topic today. I'm excited to go down a little bit of a different path here, and instead of hone in on specifics, kind of look down from a higher elevation and really kind of analyze what's really going on. Matt, good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm great, Garrett. How are you?
I'm good. So let me take care of the little stuff we got to take care of in the beginning.
Yeah, the business. Yep, absolutely.
So obviously for joining us today, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. If you want to know more about everything that we talk about on the podcast, go to the Ninja Selling website, ninjaselling.com. On there, you will find all answers to installations and what those are and how to attend them if you want to attend them. Coaching is on there. Mastery classes are on there. You can figure out what is the right path for you right now and kind of you're weaving in Ninja into your business and making it become more of a part of your life. If you want to know more about all of our other episodes, if you're new to our podcast, you can go check us out at theninjasellingpodcast.com. You can find all of our old episodes on there, and you can also search for topics in there. So if you have something that you're like, I really want to work on this in my business, be it postcards, just type in postcards and you will find every podcast that we've done that talks about postcards or any other topic that you want to find. So with that being said, thank you so much again for joining us. Matt, we're going to jump in here to looking at what's our topic now that I'm thinking about it. We had two topics. Which one were we going to go with?
We're going with the Ninja 9 one.
Yes. Being real with yourself. That was it. Being real with yourself when it comes down to the Ninja 9, when it comes down to doing your systems, when it comes down to following the processes that we talk about in Ninja. Because Matt, we watch people a lot. We get to do this a lot in coaching, especially newer coaching clients that will come to us and say, I'm doing the systems, but I'm not seeing the results. It's just not working for me. It doesn't happen very often, but it definitely does happen. It does occur. And then we as coaches get to dig in and be like, are you really? Like, are you really doing the systems? Like, let's really analyze this and take a look. And there's always a place in there where the systems are interpreted that they're being done, or they're doing them sometimes, and then they'll, maybe have a good day, and then 4 days that they take off, and then one good day, and then 4 days they take off. And then they're wondering why they're not getting the results that they hear of other people getting. So Matt, I'm going to jump into this today. You brought this topic, and I think it's absolutely awesome. And let's go for it, man.
Yeah, I like this one because this is an area that I'm constantly working on for myself as well. If anybody has read the book, The Slight Edge, a lot of the thinking processes that I think we're going to talk about today are relatable to that book, which is essentially do the little things that move you forward every single day and string those days together. And I think one of the biggest illusions, Garrett, that exists in the real estate industry is that we have to do big things. We got to knock out that big project. We got to do this thing before we can do other things, or just that's the thing. Like, I need to create a viral video. That's the thing people are doing.
I've heard that so many times in the last couple of weeks, just so you know. So I'm kind of laughing. Oh gosh.
Yeah, go viral.
Be an influencer.
Do it. And even with that, people don't break it down into like, well, what are the handful of actions that I need to do every day to move me towards my goals? And the Ninja 9 has those things. I mean, we do have 5 daily actions, and then there's the weekly actions, which then you can break up throughout the week to then become daily actions as well. And when I hear people talk about like, oh, well, I'm knocking my Ninja 9 down, I'm getting it done. It's like, okay, well, tell me about that. Like, what does that look like? Like, are we really hitting 50 live forward conversations? Are you doing the daily tasks every day, or are you just doing them some days and saying that you did them the majority of the time? Because let's take success habit number 1, gratitudes. Start your day with gratitudes is success habit number 1. Are you doing it every day? And are you doing it 7 days a week? Because here's the difference between 5 and 7. 5 out of 7 is a lot less, right, than 7 out of 7, right? You're already knocking down to below 80% consistency once you do it just on the weekdays.
And Matt, some of them are a little bit easier to do than others. So the ones they kick out sometimes are some of the ones that are they're the big levers that can push things in the right direction. Like you may show up and do your daily affirmations. You may show up and show up. You may be writing your notes. You might be talking to a lot of people. but we've got a lot of other holes here. Like, it's like, okay, so yeah, we've knocked down 4 or 5 items off the Ninja 9, but it's like, there are certain ones that if you leave them out, like, it really will impact the effects of what this is going to be.
Yeah. Well, these all work together, right? And even when you start bringing in things outside Ninja 9, like taking care of yourself in the morning, taking care of your health and all that kind of stuff, that also contributes. But keeping it to like the real estate stuff and Ninja activities in particular, looking at your hot list and warm list every day, even if you're just trying to get that done 5 days a week. I've seen a lot of people who say like, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm like, every single day? Well, no, not every single day. Okay, well, if we go from 5 down to 4 out of 5, you just knocked your progress down by 20%, right? Which is a big deal. And I'm not saying that shame on you for not hitting 5 out of 5 days every single week, but we should start looking at these. This is the way I like to look at it. Start looking at these things and saying, hey, if I can do all of these things, that is a win for a Ninja day. If I don't do all of the things, that's a loss for a Ninja day, which is okay. Let me just make sure I get back on track tomorrow. Because I think when we give ourselves the excuses, Garrett, like, well, I had this and this happen. Now we're accepting levels of lower productivity. We're accepting levels of lower progress when we should just acknowledge that that happened and then do better the next day. I think that's the easiest way to approach it.
Well, and yeah, I like what you said, Matt, is like you either win the day or you kind of lose the day. It's like, did we show up and do all the things that we had committed to for that day? And a lot of people don't even know what they're committing to for the day. So let's just start there. They know they're supposed to do the Ninja 9, but they have no plan to begin with up front to accomplish the Ninja 9. They don't have it on their agenda. It's not on their schedule. They just know there's stuff they're supposed to do today. And that's a place to start with looking at your business. Is this stuff even, it's simple to show up for right now? Like, have I set the stage that these can happen? Because if you haven't set the stage, the chances of it getting run over by something else is really, really high in this business. But if you can set the stage, then you get to have that real conversation of, did I win the day or did I lose the day? And I like how you put it with, your kind of your process that you're working with yourself right now, is that there is no like, oh, I did it 80%. So I'm going to give like, I got close, like, way to go. That's not an option looking at the way that you're talking about it. It is either a win or a loss.
Yeah, keep it binary. It makes it less complicated.
And it's really easy to not get stuck in the weeds of like, well, okay, I'll double that up tomorrow. But no. You're not making up for the day either. Like, you just take that one the way it is, check the box of what that is. I mean, if it was me right now, the way you're describing it, I would take one of those big calendars that you basically have a desk calendar. I would nail it to the wall and I'd have a red marker and a black marker. And I would just go up and have to put a big X through the day. If big black marker says I won the day, red marker says I lost the day. I didn't complete all the stuff I set out to complete. That's a simple system for me that would be like, I don't want to touch the red marker.
Right. And there are going to be days that you will have to, right? Because there will be days where something happens and all of a sudden the day gets thrown off. Now, because we go attend to that thing that's now more important, more urgent, that's okay. But if we don't do the things that we also said we're going to do, it's still a loss in a way. We have to accept that and acknowledge it and just be like, you know what? There are going to be those days that happens. And then the next day I'm going to get back on and I'm going to win that day.
This is all about taking ownership and responsibility of being an adult and a business owner. That's all we're talking about.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we're soft on like the actions we commit to as well. We're like, well, I'm just going to show up and make it a good day. Okay. Well, what does that mean? Be specific, right? The Ninja 9 is very specific. There's not a ambiguity in what does 2 notes look like? Well, they look like 2 handwritten notes. What does focusing on your hot and your warm list look like? Well, it looks like pulling out the lists and focusing on those names. And that's the type of specificity I think we need to make sure that we have. And I have these conversations with clients every now and then. They're like, yeah, this week I'm going to make sure, I do the things. I'm like, what things? Let's be specific with what they are and when they're going to happen. Because once you break it down, this is easy to do. I honestly believe that these things are easy. The challenge comes in is that not doing it is easier. But these things really are easy to do.
Well, and sometimes when you look at it as like not doing it, in my mind, it's like, well, I'm just choosing not to do it. And more so, it's something else comes in that you decide in that moment is more important. That's normally, I think, what gets in the way of a lot of people trying to implement the Ninja Nine is that we have lots of things that can easily be interpreted as emergencies. Like, so, well, I have to go take care of this. And it's funny, I said it to somebody the other day. Let's assume that your daughter, who's been off at college for the last, 3 years, is flying home. She's going to come visit you. You're going to put it on your calendar, the time to go pick her up at the airport in the middle of the day, by the way. That's when she's made her flight and can fly in. It's a Thursday afternoon, earlier in the afternoon. What is the chance of you not showing up to pick her up from the airport? It's not even an option. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, I haven't seen her in 6 months and she's flying in and it's like, oh, sorry, some things came up. I'll be there in a couple hours. You'll be fine.
Can you grab an Uber? Just grab an Uber.
Yeah, just grab an Uber. You'll make it. You can find your way home. There's taxis too. You can do whatever you want. It's just not even up for discussion. Like, we're not going to talk about that. It's not an if I can make it. It's no, I will pick you up at the airport at that time. You need to look at your systems that you're putting into your business and understand what they mean when you put them into your business. It can't just be a system that you just plug in and be like, okay, check the box. I did that. Check the box. I did this. You need to look at it and say, well, what are the long-term repercussions of me not showing up for that activity? What's the repercussions of not showing up for my daughter at the airport? Do I want to have that conversation over dinner for the next, I don't know how many years, about the time that I just left her there and told her to find a ride to the house? It's not even up for discussion. So I think you need to look at a lot of this and find that place that you understand what the importance of the activity is and how it's going to impact you long-term. Because you did make a comment, Matt, and I think that it needs to be looked at is that there's different levels, though, of how you can engage. It is binary of like 2 notes is 2 notes, but there's also different levels of, well, how are you really writing those notes? Like, are you doing it in a way that's going to make a massive impact, or are you doing it in a way that's going to check the box? Looking at your hot and your warm list. I mean, I've seen people that pull their hot and warm list out. They scan down through it real quick and go, check that off. Did that one. Feeling pretty good. I'm on my Ninja 9 today, like rocking and rolling. But did you go down each person's name and ask the question of, is this somebody that needs my help today? Are they dealing with pain or pleasure? Is there a way that I can increase pleasure in their life or decrease pain in their life? That's a different way of showing up for your Ninja 9 and showing up for your activities and really making the systems come to life.
Absolutely.
So there's a couple pieces here, which one is like, again, showing up and winning the day. The other part is showing up and saying, okay, when I had the opportunity to do those systems, was I just checking the box, or was I really owning the activity of making an impact? It's like going to the gym, Matt. We all know people that go to the gym and they go and they stop by the little smoothie place and that the gym has, and they get their smoothie, and then they go and talk with the kind of people and hang out, socialize, because that happens at the gym, some different gyms, different opportunities. And then, they go and they get on the treadmill for, 15 minutes. And then they go and they get their cup of coffee or their fancy coffee for the day, and they head off to work. Like, there's a different level of like how I watch my daughter go to the gym. And she's got a timer on her phone that's telling her when she has to move to the next machine and when she's rested just the right amount. It is like watching a machine work through the gym. It's like, I can't even keep up with you. You're killing me. Both people went to the gym. Both people can check off that they wouldn't work out that day. Very different results. Very different results. And I think that this all needs to be taken into account when you're looking at the Ninja 9 and showing up and really being honest with yourself. What are you really doing?
Intent matters a lot with all of these things. And when we look at setting up a list of actions that are going to help us win the day, this is why specificity is important. And then on top of that is the intent, and then showing up for that. So success habit number 2, we're not going to go through all of them, by the way. I'm just mentioning this one because I think this one matters a lot. Show up, stay on your agenda. This is where most ninjas fail, because they don't have an agenda to start with. And if you don't have an agenda, how can you show up and stay on it? So if you're saying, yep, I kind of got all these things done today, well, show me your calendar. There was nothing on the calendar. It's like you failed step 2 because you didn't have an agenda. So if you create a program like your daughter going to the gym, there's an agenda when I get to the gym. Here's what I need to knock out. Here's the exercises. Here's the weights. then there's the nuance of like pushing yourself a little bit and stuff like that, which I don't think we need to get into. But it's showing up and doing those things, right? So when you create the actions that'll move you forward, and this is why I say it's easy, because they don't take a lot of time. The most time is spent in the prep of making sure your agenda is set up, right? So big part of that success habit is making sure you wake up and start without your phone, like not diving into things. If you're already getting deviated to somebody else's stuff, like you are slipping into the L column for that day. You always have a chance to pull yourself out by saying, you know what, let me put that on the side and show up and do these things that I've set. And I would recommend that people get very detailed with their calendars on this to start, and like almost annoyingly detailed, right? Like even putting on your calendar what time you're going to wake up.
You mean a big block that says ninja activities? Does that work, Matt?
Oh, no. That doesn't work.
You all know who you are. You all know who you are.
Oh, yeah. My ninja time. What are you doing in that time? Like, that doesn't tell me anything. Well, I'm doing all the things. Now, once you build habits, I think it's okay to have blocks that are a little bit more vague, right? Like if you have the habit of having a strong morning routine where you wake up, you write gratitudes, you do your affirmations, you get coffee, you do the things, and you're consistent with it every day, cool. You don't need that. But this is for the most of you who are listening who don't have those habits built in, being very specific of, I'm going to use this 15 minutes to write my notes. Or if you do have a time block, like click into that calendared block and write in there what you're doing in the order that you're doing it. Well, I'm going to start with my gratitudes, then I'm going to do my affirmations, and then I'm going to write my 2 notes. And this is the 30-minute chunk that's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen at the specified time, this is I think the beauty of having your power list, so to speak, which is a term coined from Andy Frisella. And there's a lot of other entrepreneurs that use a very similar type of saying to like talk about their action items that win the day. But the beauty of having not only a calendar block, but a task list of it is if you, for some reason, blow past that time block, for whatever reason, you get that call that you got to go pick up your kid at school. Okay, fair enough. You can still get it done before you go to bed, right? And that's the cool part is if you give yourself specific actions that involve just you taking action, which all the Ninja 9, outside of customer service calls and maybe how you do your live 50, everything else you have complete control over without other people impacting you. You can do your gratitudes, your affirmations, your notes, your hot list, your warm list focus, updating your database, preparing real estate reviews at any time of day, right? So when you look at your list of this is what's going to turn the day into win, give yourself the opportunity to win the day as well by creating that agenda. And when you create it, now you can go and execute on it day after day after day, and you're going to string together a whole bunch of wins. And you look at your week, you're like, hey, you know what? I did 5 out of 7 wins this week. That's a good week. Next week, I did 6. That week after that, I was 4. That wasn't as good. But then I was 6. Then I was 6. Then I was 7, 7, 7, 6. Now we're putting together months of winning, and you're going to see the results in your business.
Matt, we've been doing this long enough that we know that when we watch somebody who's really, truly doing the systems, it's not like, did I get a new piece of business, or like, are the systems working? The conversation turns into, how in the world do I continue to do these systems and handle this crazy amount of business that I've produced? That's a true sign to us that the Ninja 9 is being done 100% without fail. And again, there might be a day that's off, but the real true ones that I get to have that conversation with, it's not an accident. It's not a coincidence. It's not like, oh my gosh, like how did all this business come into your world? Like we don't sit around and try to figure that out. They will come back and say, the damn system works. You work the system works for you. I do think, Matt, you need to, at a core, you need to understand why you want to be this good. And I think for some people, they are not seeing that. I know a lot of people like, we'll get accountability partners and let's work together on this and we'll hold each other accountable to being this good. And that works really well. I'm going to go back to use my daughter at the gym for a second, because she works out usually 6 days a week, sometimes 7. Sometimes she works out in the morning and then works out in the afternoon when she's done with work. It's really interesting. I've been watching her. She works out by herself. She sets the time aside. She goes to the gym by herself. There are no friends there. She actually purposely is at a gym that her friends don't go to, so she can go there and be 100% focused and get done what she wants to get done. And I look at that, and I've done the gym a lot in my life, and I find that having an accountability partner to show up works really well for me. I use my daughter again because this is something like I've never figured out for myself why the gym is important enough for me to make time aside to go to by myself, to do it consistently, to have a workout routine that I have planned out. Remember my friend used to have a binder and he'd keep track of all of his like energy levels and the weights he lifted and what, I mean, he had this thing documented out like a spreadsheet. It was awesome to look at it. I was like, that is so cool. I did not have it in me to be that good with going to the gym. I think you need to look at your business and say, well, how good do you really want to be with this business? What kind of results do you want? And know that if you choose to take it, if you choose to take the path, this will open up opportunities for you that we usually refer to as miracles. It's like, how in the world did all this happen? Where did all this come from? You consistently did the right things over and over and over and over again. And that's how you produce incredible results. That's how you're going to get people to ask you, how in the world did you create the business that you created? And you're going to be able to say, I have a system and I follow it consistently.
And that will help you also avoid complaining and detach from the results so that you can be consistent. Because consistency is the answer to making this all work in a really, really positive way. And I'm going to give credit to the people who do the cold calling and the door knocking type stuff, right? If you have somebody who's a salesperson who like, they know like, hey, I'm just going to cold call every day. I'm not recommending that you do this. But if you look at the level of consistency with the people who are successful with that, like they show up every day and they do their 2 hours of calls every day because they know that's the one thing that's going to move the needle for them. They're going to try to get like 100 calls in. Again, not recommending this because it's so simple. The task is so simple. It's just sit here, dial the number, use the script. We have a better way that produces better results, but you have to be as disciplined with those tasks as somebody doing cold calling. Now you get to add in a higher level of intent. You get to, now some people who cold call, they have great intent, by the way. I'm not knocking the people who are awesome at it. I know some of them and they're great. But if you want to be good with the Ninja 9, you have to show up with intent. And you have to be consistent.
It's with any system, Matt, any system.
Yes, any system. But the Ninja 9 is not something that you can just do a couple of days a week. Can you segment certain portions of it to do more on certain days? Absolutely. But every day, gratitudes and affirmations. Every day, hot list and warm list. Every day, writing notes. Can you batch notes? Sure. And that one day where you batch the notes, you better show up and write those notes.
Matt, when you look at it, like we had a podcast a while back, an episode that we talked about a flywheel, and you build momentum with this thing, and the momentum gets stronger and stronger and stronger as this flywheel starts spinning faster and faster and faster. Different than cold calling, different than knocking on doors where it's like, I need some business right now. I'm going to go knock on some doors, see what I can find. There's no momentum that builds up with that. But if you're consistent with it day after day, there are results. This is an interesting situation with this program that we have because it's not about, I'm going to go out and do it and find business. Did I do my systems today and find business? Did I do them and find business? It is the energy that gets created, and the consistency of it creates stronger and stronger and stronger energy. And every day you go out, that flywheel spinning a little bit faster till you get to the point. And Matt, we've watched this. I've coached people long enough that they go to leave the business and they're like, the thing just keeps spitting business out. I have people calling me all the time. I'm not marketing anymore. I'm not making my scheduled calls, doing my scheduled stuff, but I keep spitting business out my direction. Like, how long is this going to last? And I'm like, well, it depends on how fast the flywheel is spinning. You've been doing this for a long time. You're still their expert. They're still going to call you to be like, who should I use as a realtor since I can't use you anymore? Like, that's a very powerful, consistent, long-term doing the systems. There's actually a gentleman that I'm wanting to have on, Matt. I've already talked to him. He said he would love to come and do the podcast. It'll be a good example of somebody that has put in the time, got this flywheel spinning, and is right now, deciding to leave the business and to go on a different journey. But it's incredible to watch once it's been done. Going back to where we started this episode today, Matt, the biggest thing is that don't fool yourself thinking that you're doing these systems. Don't fool yourself thinking that you are running at that level when you're dabbling with the systems. And we can see it as coaches from a mile away when someone is just dabbling. And it's like, own it, take ownership. Let's go.
What I would recommend as the action is either do like what you said with the big calendar, but also have a list and every day choose 5 things. Some of these things are going to be repetitive until they become habits. And I would recommend perhaps starting with the Daily Ninja 5, right? Choose 5 critical tasks. And you have to be honest with yourself about what's critical. Sending that email follow-up to that open house lead may not be a critical task to move you forward that day. Might be something you want to get done.
It is realtor stuff. You get to act like a realtor.
It is realtor stuff. And it might be something that you really want to do that day. No problem. But I want you to choose 5 critical tasks every day. Do those tasks. And if you do all 5, a little W. Or if you want to use binary code, a 1. If you don't do all 5, meaning if you do 4 out of 5, but not all 5, it's a 0 or a loss. And just track that. And let's see how we do. Because now you have the awareness. Do not be subjective on yourself. Be objective. Don't be critical. Don't beat yourself up. Just be like, oh, okay, that's what's happening.
That's a really important piece, Matt. This is not meant to be negative. And in the word loss, or like I lost that day or I won that day, can feel very negative up front, especially when you're being black and white with it. It's just being aware. And that's what I want everybody to take acknowledgement with this is we're just having you be aware of what you're really doing. So you can see, okay, why am I getting the results that I'm getting? Well, when you're doing a handful of systems, but you're having to put a 0 on most days and you're sitting around going, well, I'm not seeing the results that I want. Like, I get it. We understand why you're not seeing the results that you should be getting. When you're getting to put 1s on most of the days, you can quickly go back and be like, I got 15 days. I've got, how many days do I have 1s on? And you'll know what your percentages of how you're running with this business.
Yeah. I would say too, Garrett, like a lot of areas I've seen myself fail on this before is like, I'll get too aggressive and be like, oh, 5 tasks. Well, what if I did 8? What if I did 10? Like, these are such small tasks. I can do that. Right. And I keep it to just 5, or even if you need to go down to 3, because you're trying to build consistency with these things. You're trying to build, and once something on there becomes a habit, like for example, I still have gratitude and affirmations on my daily power list because I have not yet gotten to the point where I'm doing it 7 out of 7 days a week. And that's an area I want to get. So it's always on there every day. And then once it becomes a habit, it's not on there. Like, I don't have exercise on my list for the day because I do it every day anyway. I have a program there that I follow and I'm good. But I do have hit my protein goal because I'm not doing that consistently. So these are the things, right? So do 5, get a wall calendar. Let's see what it looks like. Come back in 30 days, share it in our group, and we can all celebrate our success in evolving together. And by the way, about our group, Garrett, this is an amazing, wonderful place for people who listen to the podcast to come and gather and share thoughts, support each other. And it's on Facebook. So all you have to do is go to facebook.com/group/the Ninja Selling Podcast. And there is a group of amazing people who are ready to support each other.
8,600 people, Matt.
8,600. Wow. That's a lot. That's a lot of people. It's a big group. Can't wait until we hit 10K. That's going to be a big deal.
Next week.
So Garrett, any other final thoughts from you on this one?
I think for the most part, we've batted this around about as much as I think we should. Again, I think my little last tidbits is just, have a clear understanding why you want to do this. And then, with that being said, pick your systems, show up for them, see how many wins you can have. And again, it would be a good reminder to you of your actions produce results. The systems work and your actions produce results. And success it's not this big hocus pocus thing. When you watch people that are successful, when you watch people produce incredible results, it's not a like, well, that fell out of thin air. Or that was a coincidence, or they're lucky. It's never that. It always leaves clues. And these are why these systems were created the way they are, is they're the clues that have been left by others. And when done consistently, we know they work. So have fun.
Yeah, I agree. Well, so thank you everybody for joining us for another fantastic episode of the Ninja Selling Podcast. And check out our group. Check out ninjaselling.com. If you want to search some podcast episodes, go to the ninjasellingpodcast.com, and appreciate y'all very much. Looking forward to seeing everybody's big win charts that they come up with. So appreciate everybody. We'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks, everyone.
If you enjoyed today's episode and would like more, visit us at theninjasellingpodcast.com.
There you will also find links for more information about ninja selling and coaching. Have an incredible day.